Hey everybody! Welcome back to another deep dive into the fascinating world of global finance. Tonight, we're diving into the wild world of global finance. It's a complex and ever-changing landscape that affects every single one of us, whether we realize it or not. Buckle up because things are about to get wonky. The US dollar. It's the big kahuna, the top dog, the Beyoncé of currencies. For decades, it's been the world's go-to currency, the backbone of international trade and finance. But guess what? Other countries are getting a little tired of the dollar's dominance. They're starting to push back, looking for alternatives that better serve their own economic interests. Think of it like this. Imagine if McDonald's was the only restaurant in the world. Sure, it's convenient and familiar, but it's not the only option out there. Sure, everyone loves a Big Mac now and then. It's tasty, it's reliable, but eating the same thing every day can get a bit monotonous. Wouldn't it be nice to have other options? Maybe some sushi, a hearty Italian pasta, or a spicy Indian curry? Variety is the spice of life, after all. That's what's happening in the global monetary system right now. Countries are exploring new financial avenues, diversifying their reserves, and experimenting with digital currencies. New players are emerging, and they're hungry for a bigger piece of the pie. Nations like China, Russia, and even smaller economies are stepping up their game, challenging the dollar's supremacy. What does this mean for you? Well, it could have a ripple effect on various aspects of your daily life. Changes in the global money system could affect everything from the price of your morning coffee to your retirement savings. Imagine waking up one day to find that your favorite latte costs a bit more, or that your 401k has taken a hit. So, yeah, it's kind of a big deal. The shifting dynamics of global finance are something we all need to pay attention to. Stay informed, stay prepared, and keep an eye on those emerging challengers to the almighty dollar. Let's rewind the clock a bit, shall we? Imagine a world where time moves a little slower, and the hustle and bustle of modern life is but a distant dream. Back in the good old days, things were simple. People went about their daily lives, unaware of the seismic shifts that were about to reshape the global economy. Countries used gold to back their currencies. This meant that the value of money was directly tied to a tangible asset, something you could hold in your hand. This was known as the gold standard. It provided a sense of stability and trust in the financial system, as every paper note had a corresponding amount of gold stored somewhere. But then came World War I and World War II. These global conflicts not only changed the political landscape but also wreaked havoc on economies worldwide. And suddenly, the world was a hot mess. The destruction and chaos left in the wake of these wars created economic instability and uncertainty. So in 1944, a bunch of smart folks got together in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, to create a new system. They knew that a stable global economy was essential for peace and prosperity. They came up with the Bretton Woods Agreement, which pegged most currencies to the US dollar, which was still backed by gold. This system aimed to provide a stable and predictable framework for international trade. This worked pretty well for a while. The post-war era saw significant economic growth and prosperity, with countries rebuilding and economies booming. But then, in the 1970s, President Nixon decided to ditch the gold standard altogether. This decision was driven by various factors, including the need to address inflation and balance of payments issues. And just like that, we entered the era of floating exchange rates, where currency values are determined by market forces. This new system brought its own set of challenges and opportunities, shaping the modern financial landscape we know today. The transition to floating exchange rates marked a significant shift in economic policy, influencing everything from international trade to monetary policy. It paved the way for the dynamic and interconnected global economy we navigate today. As we look back, it's clear that these historical milestones have left an indelible mark on our world. They remind us of the importance of adaptability and innovation in the face of change, and as we move forward, we continue to build on the foundations laid by those who came before us, striving for a future where economic stability and prosperity are within reach for all. So how does this whole global money thing actually work? Picture a giant interconnected web. Currencies are constantly being traded, their values fluctuating based on supply and demand. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, is like the referee of this system, trying to keep things fair and stable. The World Bank, on the other hand, is more like a financial advisor, providing loans and assistance to developing countries. But here's the thing. The US dollar still plays an outsized role. It's the most widely traded currency and the primary reserve currency for most countries. This gives the US a lot of power, but it also comes with responsibilities. Now, the current system isn't without its flaws. For starters, it's created some pretty massive global imbalances. Rich countries are getting richer, while many developing countries are struggling to keep up. Then there's the issue of the US dollar's dominance. When the US sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. Remember the 2008 financial crisis? Yeah, that wasn't fun for anyone. And finally, decisions made by the US Federal Reserve can have ripple effects across the globe, often hurting emerging economies. It's like trying to steer a giant ship with a tiny rudder. Section 5. BRICS on the rise, a new kid on the block. Enter the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries, spanning across different continents, have come together to form a powerful coalition. These emerging economies are like the new kids on the block, and they're ready to shake things up. With their rapidly growing populations and expanding middle classes, they are poised to become major players on the global stage. They've been growing at a rapid pace, and they're increasingly unhappy with the current state of the global monetary system. The dominance of the US dollar and the influence of Western financial institutions have long been a point of contention for these nations. They want more influence, and they're starting to flex their muscles. By collaborating more closely, they aim to create a more balanced and multipolar world order. In 2014, the BRICS established their own development bank, the New Development Bank, as an alternative to the World Bank. This institution aims to fund infrastructure and sustainable development projects in BRICS and other emerging economies. They're also exploring new ways to trade with each other without using the US dollar. By doing so, they hope to reduce their dependency on Western financial systems and create a more resilient economic network. This move could potentially reshape global trade dynamics and challenge the existing financial order. Section 6. De-dollarization, moving away from the greenback. This brings us to the concept of de-dollarization. It's exactly what it sounds like. Countries are looking for ways to reduce their dependence on the US dollar. Why? Well, for starters, it gives them more independence and control over their own economies. It also reduces their vulnerability to US economic policies. We're seeing this happen in real time. China, for example, is pushing for the use of its own currency, the yuan, in international trade, and Russia is increasingly using other currencies like the euro for oil and gas transactions. Section 7. Digital disruption, crypto, and the future of money. And then there's the elephant in the room, cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, these digital currencies are shaking up the financial world. While they're not quite ready to replace traditional currencies, they're forcing everyone to rethink the very nature of money. Could we one day live in a world where we're all using digital currencies backed by, well, nothing? It's a real possibility. Section 8. What does it all mean? Potential impacts on the world. So, what does the future hold for the global monetary system? It's hard to say for sure, but one thing is certain: change is coming. Will we see a multipolar world with multiple reserve currencies? Or will the US dollar manage to maintain its dominance? The answer will have a profound impact on global trade, investment, and economic stability. Section 9. The future of finance. A multipolar world? Imagine a world where the US dollar is no longer the only game in town. A world where the euro, the yuan, and maybe even a basket of digital currencies all play a major role. This could lead to a more balanced and stable global economy, but it could also create new challenges and uncertainties. Get ready for a bumpy ride. Section 10. How to prepare, navigating the shifting sands of global finance. So, how can you prepare for this uncertain future? Well, for starters, stay informed. Keep an eye on the news and learn about the forces shaping the global economy. Diversify your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially if that basket is labeled US dollar. Consider investing in foreign markets and alternative assets. And finally, don't panic. Change can be scary, but it can also be an opportunity. By staying informed and adapting to new realities, we can all navigate the shifting sands of global finance. Section 11. Conclusion. The future is uncertain, but change is coming. The global monetary system is at a crossroads. The old order is being challenged, and new players are emerging. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear: change is coming. Whether these changes will lead to a more stable and equitable global economy, or a return to financial turmoil, remains to be seen. One thing is for sure: it's going to be an interesting ride. Buckle up, Buttercup.